Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Daniel and this is my channel Tech Tuning. If you've seen some of my other videos, welcome back, and if this is the first time, maybe you're here for this tutorial, then I hope you'll stick around to watch some more. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting the project of doing the timing chain on my 1985 Toyota Celica. I'm doing the LCE engineering dual row upgrade. So I kind of want to walk you guys through everything as you go, because I've seen a lot of videos on people doing the timing chain, not as specifically the Celica and not specifically the dual row for the Celica. So I'm hoping maybe if I throw something out there onto the internet too, maybe it can help you guys when you do it. So I'm just going to be going through everything I have to do to the car. Right now I have it on the jack stands and everything. I've got some cardboard underneath it, and I believe I'm going to start by taking down the under tray. I'm going to drain the radiator out, and I'm going to try and take that out to make some room so that I can start disassembling some of the stuff in the engine bay in order to get to the timing chain. Alright, so here we are underneath the car, and we're underneath the radiator. As you can see, the shroud is up here. What we're coming down here for is this little bleeder screw right here to drain the radiator. So all you have to do is just unscrew that, and you're just going to want to let the radiator drain out as much as it can. That way when we take it out, it's not dripping everywhere. I did lay some cardboard down on the ground to do this. I would suggest you do the same if you don't want to get anything on your driveway. So now while the radiator is draining, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking off the two shroud bolts that are holding the fan shroud onto the radiator. After that, once the radiator is completely drained through, then we can take off the two bolts holding the radiator to the actual car, and then we'll be able to pull it out. I'm going to take the fan off from the water pump before I remove the radiator, because if you take a look here, if you see where the fan is, there's those 4 blue bolts that connect it to the water pump. I'm thinking if I can just get a wrench down there and I can crack those loose, the fan, radiator, and the shroud should all come out kind of in one go. I think that's the only way that I can get it out, because otherwise the lower radiator hose, I'm not sure how well you can see that, the lower radiator hose down there that's connected to the radiator is blocking it from coming up, and you can't pull it out because the fan blocks the shroud. So it's kind of gonna have to be all 3 at once. So that's what I think I'm gonna go for instead. All I did was in the end, what I did is we drained the radiator, and I took the belt off for the power steering, as you can see. And then after that, what I did was, I don't know if this is the correct way, but what I was attempting to do was take off the 4 bolts holding the fan to the water pump. And I did succeed at that. As you can see, I got it, and I got it split from the water pump. And I did this by taking a pair of vice grips. I grabbed the middle, like that blue stem, so that it wouldn't turn, and then using a 10mm wrench, I just cracked each loose. And then I put a flathead in between the 2 faces, and I just tapped it a little bit with a hammer, and I got it to split off. So our fan is now disconnected, and we can pull the radiator out. comes. We're gonna start breaking down the stuff that's kind of locking the timing chain in place. So what's gonna be an important step here is we're gonna wanna set the engine to cylinder 1, top dead center. So to do that, we'll take the distributor cap off so that we can watch the rotor, and then we're gonna hand crank the engine from the crank bolt. We're gonna turn it clockwise, which is the natural rotation of it, until our distributor rotor is facing the cylinder 1 wire. You can see right now it's facing the bottom, and what we need to do is we need to crank the main crank bolt down below until it's at the top left, but we also need to watch on the crank. There's markings, so they'll line up with the oil pump right here, has an indicator. We need to watch the crank to make sure that the indicator for top dead center is also lined up, because there's top dead center for cylinder 1, and then I believe top dead center for cylinder 2, I guess you could consider it. I'm not sure if I'm phrasing that correctly, but there is 2 forms of top dead center. We need to get to the one for cylinder 1, so I'm gonna go grab the tools and we can start doing that. So we're back underneath the car here again. We're looking up at the engine. As you can see, this is your tensioner and the tensioner bolt, which go to the AC compressor, the crank, and this tensioner right here. So it's the same as the power steering. We're gonna back this out, crack this loose, and then we're just gonna take that belt off, and then all the belts are off, and we can start getting to work on taking the accessories off. So what I'm doing now, I just took off the upper and lower radiator hoses, and I shoved some shop towels in there just so nothing gets in there for the time being. And what I'm doing is I'm getting ready to take the valve cover off just so that I can pull the distributor and make sure nothing moves. And before I do that, I'm going through and I'm labeling all of the vacuum lines just so that I can keep track of what's what and where it goes, so that I'm not piecing it together and making some ridiculous, menagerie of lines after the fact when I'm trying to put this back together. So I'm just using some masking tape and a Sharpie, and I'm just going through. The first one I pulled off is going to be A, the next one's going to be B, and there's going to be 2 A's, 2 B's, so that I know where everything goes. So I would suggest doing the same, and then we're going to take the valve cover off. Taking the valve cover off is pretty easy. It's just 2 bolts in the front at the top, as you can see right there, and then there's going to be 2 at the back, and you just have to disconnect all the lines that go to it. So I would definitely suggest labeling them. It makes it way easier later on.
Close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go,
Alright guys, so my valve cover is off. I have some issues with timing right now. I'm not exactly sure why, but the motor's at top dead center for cylinder 1, though this rotor is not technically set to cylinder 1. The way that my spark plug wires were oriented when I got the car, this is firing cylinder 1 right now, so something's a little messed up that I'm going to have to figure out a little later. But I'm just going to kind of brush past it for now and keep going with the chain, because I think it has to do with something with the position of the rotor, and I'm hoping I can resolve it pretty easily. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to explain. I got the power steering pump out. I was running into some issues before with the bolts here, but I realized that the power steering pump itself is actually only held in by these 2 bolts right here on either side of the bracket. So all you have to do is get this one and it'll come out, and I just kind of have it off to the side for now because there's not much room to move it unless you take all the lines off. So next what you have to take off is, I took out one here, and you have to take out another bolt right here, and then these 2 bolts, and then this whole bracket should come off, and then you'll be able to take off the tensioner for that, and then we'll move on to the alternator down there once I get this off. Alright guys, what's going on? So this is going to be the end of the first part of this video. Just to recap, so far what we did was we took off some of the exterior accessories. So we took off the belts, the fan, the radiator, we took out the battery, and we took the valve cover off. And in the next part we're going to move into taking off the rest of the accessories, and then we're going to start getting into the chain later on. So if you guys liked this video, please leave a like, consider subscribing. If you have any questions, definitely ask in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next part.